All right, coming up, we're going to get into your mailbag questions. So use hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get your questions answered here on the show. One topic I want to talk about here on Chicago Bears Now, my name is Harrison Graham, is the idea of trading up for Caleb Downs if he falls enough in the draft. Because Caleb Downs is arguably the best player in this draft. The Bears have a need at safety. Dennis Allen loves these kind of multi-dimensional defensive backs that can do a number of different things, and he clearly has a ton of versatility. He can line up and play man in the nickel. He can play in the box and light people up in the run game. He can play center field at safety. He's got a lot of versatility, and I do just wonder if there would be a point in the draft where the Bears would consider it. Albert Breer put this out today saying, I feel comfortable saying Caleb Downs is the best football player in the draft. He won't be the first pick. You have to consider upside, positional value, all that. And there are guys with more of that stuff, but no one in the class is a better football player. I would agree with him. Maybe Jeremiah Love, but again, positional value. And then Dane Brugler, who I think is the best or one of the best draft analysts in the game. I think he could be a scout or a GM if he wanted to. Said, fun question I've been asking to scouts. Quote, Caleb Downs is the best safety prospect you've personally scouted since. A few have answered ever. Now, take that with a grain of salt. If he's dealing with a 3-year scout, of course, that guy didn't, scout Ed Reed or something like that. But still, I think it's safe to say I can't remember a safety this highly touted in recent years. Kyle Hamilton, but I think Downs has more upside with his profile. He's certainly going to run faster than Hamilton did when he was coming out. So let's just kind of go through the draft order and just kind of spitball. I wouldn't trade into the top 8 or even the top 10, but you start to get to it. Okay, Miami at 11. Would you pull the trigger there? Dallas has 2 first-round picks. They could use defensive help. So would you try to get in front of them? If he gets past 12, God, I would hate the Rams to get him. I think when I look at this draft order, the Rams at 13, I think that is probably the floor of where he would go. They need defensive back help in a major way. So the Rams at 13, I'd be shocked if he got past that. So, you look at this, the Bears don't pick until 25. He's not going to fall this far. Obviously, I think, the Rams, like I said, are probably the floor at 13. What point would you have to get to if you're running the Bears? And I'm kind of opening up this door to you guys watching as well. When do you start thinking, man, I'm getting on the phone, I'm at least seeing what it would cost to move up? I think if he falls outside the top 10, I'm calling Miami and I'm seeing. Because I look at the Dolphins, and they are going to have a lot of needs. They're going to enter a rebuild in all likelihood. What would it take to go from 25 to 11? Probably your first next year. And so do you do that for a safety? Well, if you think he's Ed Reed, you do. Right? Now, part of the equation, too, is okay, have you addressed pass rush in free agency at this point? Because you're going to give up draft capital for a non-pass rusher. So it's an interesting conversation to have. Would you trade 25 a first next year straight up for Caleb Downs? I'd think about it. If I felt good about what I added with my pass rush in free agency, I would think about doing that if it doesn't cost more than that. Now, is that enough? I don't know. You may have to add a day 2 pick in there as well. Then it becomes complicated. But, man, this guy, he's a demon, as the real ones like to say, in terms of a draft prospect. I think he's that good. How far, for you, would Downs have to fall for you to try and trade up for him? 15th pick, you wouldn't do it at all. Would you trade, up to 8 for him? I think he gets past Cincinnati at 10, which he could go there too. They need defense, played at Ohio State. That would make a lot of sense. If he gets past the Bengals, Dolphins are on the clock, I'd think about it. I really would. I would see how much it cost to get up to get Caleb Downs. All right, we'll take some questions now. Real Adventures, appreciate the super chat. Why zero talk of John Franklin Myers to the Bears? I've briefly talked about him. I think it's because he's just going to get so much money. He's by far the best interior pass rusher that's set to hit free agency. Some team's going to overpay massively. I think $20 million per year is on the table. Now, if you told me it's 2 for $20 million, $10 million a year, let's do it. But I think it's going to be closer to 20 than 10, and it might be a 3 or 4 year deal. I don't know. That's a little rich for my blood. He plays with a lot of studs in Denver. Is he going to be that productive moving forward on a different team? Maybe, but maybe not. Bear Down for Life, appreciate the 10. Sorry if you already touched on this, but have you seen the Hallis Harbor plant out of Portage, Indiana? Your thoughts? Even though Indiana's closer to me, rather the Bears stay in Illinois. That's basically my thought. The Bears belong in Illinois. It's literally in their song, the pride and joy of Illinois. That's awkward if you move to Indiana. I'm not saying you don't move to Indiana because of that alone. I mean, there's a lot at play here, obviously. But my thought is the Bears belong in Illinois. Really, they belong in the city, and it doesn't sound like that's feasible. But I think in the end, Arlington Heights happens. There's a lot of property out there that they purchased. They could build a cool surrounding area with the stadium as well. You know, bars, restaurants, that type of stuff. So I think in the end, that's probably what happens here. All right, we've got St. Patty's Day shirts now. Join the Chicago drinking team. No one does St. Patrick's better than the city of Chicago, which, by the way, stay tuned for another merch St. Patty's themed item that we're going to drop in the near future. But if you want to get this one, chatsports.com/BearsGreen. Plus, if you get it before Monday, it's 25% off, just like the entire store is with our Chat Sports Bears Now merch. But this shirt specifically, chatsports.com/BearsGreen. Go check it out. And while you're there, you can see the full shop with all the merch there. All of it's 25% off for a limited time only. Okay, big dumper. Should we revisit the Johnson trade with the Jets and see if they come to their senses and take a third or a fourth? I think that's a team worth calling. And look, the Jets have a ton of capital, so they might be willing to add more. I don't know if they would do a fourth-round pick, but if they would, I would certainly trade a fourth. Would I trade a third for Jermaine Johnson? I'd have to think about it. He's a full season older now. He's entering his fifth-year option year. It's kind of like him and Kayvon Thibodeaux. Like, what are you willing to give up a guy entering his fifth-year option who you're going to likely have to pay? Third would probably be the most I'd be willing to give up in that scenario. All right, King Towers, would you be satisfied with Kayvon Thibodeaux, right on cue, and Sweat with a draft pick addition? It would be an improvement. Like, if you got Thibodeaux for like a third and then drafted a defensive tackle, you're certainly better than you were. Do you go from 31st in pass rush win rate to top half in the league? Maybe. I doubt it. I think you probably improve to like top 20. I would rather. I'll say this. I'd rather sign Trey Hendrickson to a short-term deal than trade a third-round pick for Jermaine Johnson or Kayvon Thibodeaux. I'm not giving up a pick. I still think Trey is the better pass rusher. Clearly he's older. You're not going to have him for 5 years, but you could have him for 2, and hopefully by then you've drafted and developed somebody a little bit. Maybe Austin Booker's come along. It buys you time while you try to find your longer-term solutions. Subscribe to the channel. We got content all year long. We go live every Monday and Thursday. We won't be live this upcoming Monday because of President's Day. I've got the day off, but we will continue to pump out content, news, rumors, mailbags, draft coverage, free agency, trade rumors. We're here for all of it. Lock us in. Christian edits, hypothetically speaking, what could Rome fetch in a trade? I would say probably a second-round pick. Maybe some team, like would the Patriots give you 31? Probably. He'd be their best receiver instantly. But I'm not trading Rome. And everybody's like, you keep saying trade DJ. Why not trade Rome? Guys, we can debate who the literal better player is right now. I think both guys have pros and cons. I think Rome is a better natural receiver. DJ probably has a little more versatility. But DJ's cap hit is $28.5 million, and he's approaching 30 years old. Rome Odunze is like 23 years old. And before the foot injury, even with some drop problems, was having a monster year before he got hurt. I still think the arrow is pointing up for Rome Odunze. He's got to clean some things up this offseason, and I expect him to work hard to do that. Whereas I'm not saying DJ Moore is plummeting as a player, but chances are his best days are probably behind him, and you have a crowded room, and you can free up money by trading him. So, again, hypothetically, I think a second, maybe some teams picking late first round would give you their first, but I think it's a non-starter. I don't think Rome Odunze is getting traded. All right, DC Viper, I've seen some mocks. The Bears draft Lee Hunter. I did that in my last mock. I've seen others, Caden McDonald, Zion Young, Caleb Banks. Out of all of them, who do you pick if they're all there at 25? Well, the testing at the combine could certainly sway me because I think all these guys are in a similar tier. Like mid-late first round, early second round. I think all these guys fall into that bucket. I think Caleb Banks has the highest ceiling. He's 6'6", 325, and he's pretty freaky, but he's got a foot injury in his history, and he retweaked it this year. So what does the medical look like? Caden McDonald, I think, is a good player who can still get better. Zion Young has this like DWI that hasn't gotten much public run, so I don't know how serious of a situation that was. We know Poles values character a lot, so they're going to do a lot of research on that. And then who's the other one here? Oh, Lee Hunter. He's probably the fastest riser out of this group, other than maybe Banks, who had a strong Senior Bowl as well. So if I had to order it right now without knowing the medicals, I'd go Banks 1, Hunter 2, and then I would debate the other two, McDonald and Young. But I think all are solid options for the Bears at 25 based on the information we currently have. All right, name a player you don't want the Bears to draft. Who's someone that you've maybe heard of the Bears? I'm like, I don't want that guy. To get him off my football team. Who's the Nate Davis of this draft? Of course, we have no idea who that is. But, yeah, Velus Jones. Gosh, what a douchey comment that was. All right, Ben H. Jennings Dunker. Can he play left tackle? Because I've seen people say he's a right tackle / right guard. He's playing on the right side. If they think he can be a serviceable left tackle, sure. I don't think I'd take him at 25, though. I think he's early day 2, which kind of falls into the no man's land for the Bears. Could be a trade down target. Trade down for 25 out of the first round. Take him in like the 30s or 40s. I don't think he gets to 57. He's probably somewhere between 35 and 50, I would guess. But offensive line's kind of a premium. Sometimes guys go higher than expected. So if he could play left tackle, then I'd be open to it. All right, Drew, NFL's top 15, 25 games video has 5 Bears games. Yeah, I mean, look, we kind of made the comp. You know how people are always like, that's a league pass team? The Bears were like the ultimate league pass team in the NFL. You want to be entertained? Watch the 2025 Chicago Bears, which was a breath of fresh air because the Bears historically, especially in recent years, not only have they not been good, they've been boring. Can't score offensively. They get stuck in these like slugfests, then eventually the defense gets tired and they lose. This year, the offense was electric. It was entertaining as hell. Caleb Williams was clutch. It was awesome. Cardiac Bears, baby. Coined it for a reason. So, yeah, that does not surprise me at all. It was an entertaining season and one I'll never forget, and hopefully one the Bears can build on moving forward. All right, guys, if we didn't get to your question, if you're watching live, we have another mailbag coming up. But also, find me on socials, at HGramNFL, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, same handle. DMs are open. I've done a bad job with DMs recently. I will try to catch up this 3-day weekend. I will do my best. Also, please support the new Facebook page, facebook.com/HGramNFL. That they don't really have handles, so if you are in your web browser /HGramNFL, or if you search Harrison Graham Chat Sports on Facebook in the search bar there, I should pop up. So give me a follow over there. I'd greatly appreciate it, and bear down.